Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Quick Hits, and if you haven't joined me before, these segments of Quick Hits are exactly what they sound like they are. It's a quick 15-minute or less response, reaction, or rant on a particular topic in WWE, and right now we're going to talk about John Cena. And in this post-WrestleMania era, there is certainly some news coming out of the wire here from John Cena, and it's not necessarily something that's flattering for him. And I don't know if you could look at this as him turning heel, kind of quietly, or really not so quietly, behind the scenes of not being involved in a story. But what the story is, and maybe you have heard this or not, John Cena sat down for an interview with Corey Graves on his After the Bell podcast, and Graves asked what Cena believes the current WWE landscape needs to see another big resurgence. And he said it needs what I'm not sure it can produce. Obviously, when you look at guys like Stone Cold, The Rock, Hogan. And he said that, Cena said he doesn't know if it's possible because today's wrestling fan simply won't allow it. That's quote, just the state of where everything is now. And he goes on to talk about it needs to be, again, quote, it needs a front man or woman. It needs one, maybe two definable characters to absolutely be the reason. The problem is, and here's the money quote, if the company puts its faith behind an individual, the knee-jerk reaction of the audience, even if they liked the guy last week, is to say, F you, you're not going to tell me who I like. Corey Graves talked about Seth Rollins as the perfect example, but fans have done this with stars like Roman, Lesnar, Lynch, and a bunch of others who inexplicably boo all of a sudden because they're deemed the chosen ones. You got to be kidding me, right? When I look at this, and I know Cena says that it's not completely the fans' fault, but you've got to be kidding me, right? Like, when I hear this propaganda, basically, from John Cena, and I believe that he truly believes this. I do. I think John Cena truly believes that that the WWE can never have a big star like Stone Cold Rock, himself or Hogan, because the fans won't allow it. Apparently, we are the ones that just turn on a dime because we don't like to be told who to like. While there is some truth to that, when we sense that there is somebody that the WWE is getting behind, there is sometimes a resistance to, even if I liked you, to tell you, no, now you like him, now I'm not going to. But here's the problem. When you have a guy like Roman Reigns, who, I'm not going to even go into his career path and the flaws that WWE put on his character for years and years and years, and we never felt, or nor did we ever want Roman to be the one. That is WWE. That's Vince McMahon telling us that Roman Reigns is the one. And you cannot tell me that Becky Lynch was not somebody that the fans wanted. The fans have watched Lynch's career before her big turn at SummerSlam a year and a half ago. Watched her career, watched her get misused, misbooked, and then finally snap at SummerSlam, and they've been behind her ever since. Now, the natural ebb and flow of a character is to eventually have a heel run. Because there is normally a part of that character that we need to hate before we can love all of you. And with Becky Lynch, if you want to take that example, she snapped because the fans snapped with her. And the fans have been behind her ever since. Now, Could you make a case that right now that she's on a downturn of possibly turning heel? Absolutely. The problem is, with empty arenas, we have no idea how the fans truly would react in a live setting. You can only learn so much from Twitter, from Instagram, from Facebook, wherever. So there is that absence of a live reaction to truly gauge on a week-to-week, town-to-town, arena-to-arena time frame and template to use as you're gauging for where we're at and how we're doing. Social media can be very skewed at times, as we all know. On its best day, it's skewed, right? So with John Cena putting the majority of the problem of finding a guy or girl to be that next big star, that we won't accept it because when we sense the company's getting behind somebody, then we turn around and go, F you. How about if the company knows how to push somebody without transparently doing it? Right? Or maybe listen to what the audience is telling you when they feel they know who they want. And if you're going to tell me that every time the the fans sense WWE is getting behind somebody that they turn on that person, let me just throw a few names out there. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Kofi Kingston. Just a few that have come through the system that the fans have wanted to see main event shows. Last year, Kofi Kingston got what the fans wanted, and then was pushed back into oblivion into the tag team division, and cares more about pancakes than winning championships, and doesn't even care that he lost in 8 seconds to Brock Lesnar. So you look at Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was an organic grassroots movement that really revolutionized how the fans feel that they have control over the direction and trajectory of a superstar's career. That is and was and continues to be the template for which fans follow how they need to react to follow and push a certain superstar wrestler that they want to see at the top. And guess what? When WWE did get behind him, it was in vain, but they did. The fans reacted with them. The fans reacted as you would want them to. They celebrated. They loved the Daniel Bryan run. They loved him being on top. And then he gets injured and goes back out. We all know the story. But you can't use that as a blanket statement. John Cena cannot use that as a cop-out. It's such a corporately brainwashed theory that just because the WWE feels, and the fans feel that WWE is suddenly getting behind somebody, that they're automatically going to rebel. No. That is such a corporate cop-out. That is something that is said during the board meetings and production meetings and behind the scenes of when fans don't react the way they should because they're just being rebellious. They're just having fun. No. Did the fans suddenly morph into different beings than humans over the last 20 years? Fans have been reacting this way forever. And it's I think, a referendum on the company not being able to properly push stars. And not necessarily a reaction from the fans that's causing the stars to not get as big as they should be. It's WWE's missteps and oftentimes their terrible booking and lack of long-term planning for the stars that they feel should be shot to the top, and maybe the fans agree with them or they don't. But when you have oftentimes an awful booking system, sometimes the writing is very subpar at times. You look at Seth Rollins. If Corey Graves wants to look at Seth Rollins as the mic drop moment for this argument, no. Seth Rollins was the guy that we all wanted to see topple Brock Lesnar. And he did. But then something happened. His babyface character became the Hulk Hogan of take your vitamins, say your prayers, it's the we, I never give up. All this nonsensical charity type of garbage that you don't need to hear from a champion at that level who just toppled Brock Lesnar. All of a sudden it's we. And you look at the missteps in his booking. Do you forget that Seth Rollins was the guy that was kicked out of the Authority and then pleaded to come back? The Authority dumped him. He didn't dump the Authority. And then you put together a awful on-screen chemistry with Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins over the summer. The we stuff, the we, all that nonsense stuff, and then you get to Hell in a Cell, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And you can't put that on the fans. The fans react in a way that they feel is true. WWE, for some reason, has come up with this farce logic that the fans react just to react in an opposite way because it's rebellious. No, the fans react in a true, honest way. People don't fake emotions at wrestling events. It's not the time to fake emotion. You didn't pay 40, 60, 100, 200 bucks to go to a place to fake an emotion of how you truly feel about the stars they're presenting and the stories that they are involved in. So why doesn't John Cena pump the brakes, take a step back, maybe from the internal view of how WWE thinks the fans are doing and why they react the way they act, and maybe look in the effing mirror and say, hey, maybe we are doing an awful job of presenting the stars that the fans may feel are top level guys, and we're going to see what we can do with them, give them a push. Instead of maybe pushing them this way, let's try it this way. Right? And it does. Sometimes it all comes back to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was never a guy that people loved. Never. He was kind of cool in the Shield because he was the silent one. And then he's immediately after separating from the Shield on his singles career, he got exposed for his weaknesses that are still, to this day, still some of them are there to a lesser degree. But this is a guy that the fans never truly felt from a grassroots movement of, hey, this is a guy we'd love to see get to the top. You look at CM Punk. That's a guy that the fans organically connected with and wanted to see skyrockets to the top. What happened? After the pipe bomb promo in Vegas? Phew, rocket ship, baby. Straight to the top. You can't use the excuse that the fans won't allow it when you can't look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe we don't know how to properly build a baby face. In 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, go back. Maybe we don't know how. Instead of blaming it on the fans turning on the star, maybe you should look in the mirror and wonder if they're turning on your logic of how to build that star. You ever think of that? So I don't know if this from John Cena was because this is a shot at fans. I mean, this is a true shot at the fans that I have not seen from John Cena in a while, and it could be somewhat of an anomaly where it just happened to line up with the Firefly Funhouse, and he truly feels this way. I think he does, but it also could be, and it may be both. Just because it doesn't have to be one or the other, it can be both. Both can be true here. That John Cena is continues to plant seeds for a heel turn. It's very possible here because this is the first time I've seen him truly take a shot at the fans. And it is a shot at the fans that were the ones that are responsible for the majority of it. He didn't put it 100% on the fans' shoulders, but he put a lot of it on our shoulders. That we suddenly turn on people once we sense the WWE is getting behind somebody. And I think if you're talking that it's a knee-jerk reaction, you know what? Maybe sometimes it is because our knee-jerk reaction is because we know that WWE is awful at building new stars and presenting them in great storylines that are compelling, believable, don't feel scripted, and are an organic type of feel that we can get behind it and relate to it, instead of pandering to us like, we did it, guys, and look, we captured the championship, we slayed the beast. Shut up. We need an edgy top guy. Edgy. We don't need the Seth Rollins that suddenly went from the sniveling, whining, heel from the Authority to this guy that all of a sudden is the we stuff, and I couldn't have done it without you, and you guys got me through the match. Shut up. Right? No. That's not what this is. So, I don't know if this is John Cena being John Cena, just doing an interview with Corey Graves, or if it's somehow tied to a possible heel turn that we've all been kind of thinking about, that the result of the Firefly Funhouse match. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think here, because this really is something that torches me when I see that the WWE likes to turn it on the fans as to why they'll never be able to accept anybody we get behind. It's a knee-jerk reaction sometimes because we've seen it fail over and over and over. We've let you guys play out your stories, and they have been awful when you try to build a star that we don't get behind, i.e. Roman Reigns. Right? I mean, he's example 1. Exhibit A. So, I don't know. All right, well, I've passed my 15-minute threshold, but I just wanted to get that out to you guys. That heats me up to no end, and I'll be back tomorrow. Anthony DeMarco and I are doing a early podcast, so it'll be available midday or so on the Weekend Review. I wanted his thoughts on some of the matches at WrestleMania, and of course, SmackDown and Raw tied in there as well. And again, follow me on Twitter. You guys know the deal at the WWE Podcast, and rate and review me if you have a moment. And if you do any shopping on Amazon, hey, go to my link on my website, start there at under the Support the Show tab, and there's a banner in the Support the Show tab. And if you click on that, it'll just take you to Amazon, and all it does is just basically take a portion of the profits that we're going to go to Amazon and kick it our way to keep the lights on. So, guys, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please give us a subscribe and maybe a review if you have a moment, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for listening.